It began on an ordinary Tuesday at the Global Space Monitoring Station in Antarctica. Tom Miller, a communications specialist with messy brown hair and tired eyes, was about to end his shift when his console lit up with an unusual pattern of signals. "Hey, look at this," Tom called to his supervisor. The signal was faint but clearly artificial, coming from somewhere beyond Neptune. It pulsed in a pattern that didn't match any known human transmission protocols. What made it truly strange was how it seemed to repeat with mathematical precision, yet contained variations that suggested it wasn't a natural phenomenon. "Run it through the analysis program," his supervisor ordered, suddenly wide awake despite the late hour. For 3 days, the signal continued. Scientists from space agencies around the world joined the effort to decode it. They determined it was coming from the Kuiper Belt, that distant region of icy bodies at the edge of our solar system, where few human probes had ventured. Dr. Emily Jones, an astrobiologist with decades of experience, stood before the United Nations Space Council with her findings. "This is not random noise. This is not a glitch. This is a message, and it's not from Earth." The world leaders exchanged nervous glances. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it came not as an invasion or grand announcement, but as a cry for help. After weeks of careful analysis, the message was partially decoded. It contained mathematical formulas, spatial coordinates, and what appeared to be emergency symbols that transcended language barriers. The aliens, whoever they were stranded and running out of time. Captain James Walker received the call at his home in Colorado. A tall man with weathered features from years in space, he had commanded the first crewed mission to Mars. Now, the United Earth Space Force wanted him for something far more historic. "We're assembling a rescue mission," General Adams told him. "And you're the only person with enough deep space experience to lead it." Walker looked at the holographic projection of the alien signal. "How do we know it's not a trap?" "We don't," the general admitted. "But if there are beings out there dying, and we do nothing, what does that say about us?" 3 weeks later, Walker stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, the most advanced spaceship humanity had ever built. Behind it followed 4 support vessels carrying engineers, scientists, medical personnel, and enough supplies for an extended mission. The fleet represented every major nation on Earth, crewed by the best minds humanity could offer. "All systems ready, Captain," reported his first officer, Lisa Chen. Walker nodded and looked around at his crew. They were scared. Who wouldn't be? But determined. Humanity's first official contact with alien life would not be as conquerors or defenders, but as rescuers. "Begin orbital departure sequence," he ordered. "Plot course for the coordinates in the Kuiper Belt." As the engines fired and Earth shrank behind them, Walker addressed the crew over the intercom. "We don't know what we'll find out there. We don't know if our help will be welcomed, or if we can even provide the assistance needed. But we do know this. Somewhere in the darkness, someone is asking for help. And as long as humans have looked up at the stars, we've wondered if we were alone. Today we know we're not. Today we have the chance to show the universe what humanity stands for." The journey would take months, even with the new fusion drives. As they traveled, scientists continued working on the alien language, learning more from the ongoing transmissions. The aliens called themselves something that roughly translated to the people of the third wave. Their ships had suffered catastrophic damage while studying the outer solar system, and their life support systems were failing. Walker stood at the viewport, watching the stars. In the vastness of space, a group of strangers needed help, and humanity was answering the call. After 87 days of travel, the human rescue fleet finally reached the coordinates in the Kuiper Belt. Through the main viewport of the UES Horizon, Captain Walker and his crew could see the alien ships. There were 7 of them, arranged in a circular pattern. Their design was unlike anything humans had built, smooth curved vessels that seemed to flow like liquid metal, with no visible engines or windows. "Scan complete, Captain," said Officer Ryan, the sensors specialist. "The alien ships are running on minimal power. I'm detecting life signs. but they're weak. Walker nodded grimly. Open a channel using the translation matrix we developed. Lisa Chen worked at her console, sending the carefully prepared greeting message. For several tense minutes, there was no response. Maybe they can't hear us, suggested Dr. Bell, the mission's xenobiologist. Then the main screen flickered. A face appeared. At least, Walker thought it was a face. The alien had large, dark eyes that took up most of its head, blue-gray skin, and no visible nose or ears. Its mouth was small and didn't move when it spoke. Instead, colors rippled across its skin, which the translation program converted to words. "You came," the alien said simply. "We did not believe you would." Walker stepped forward. "I'm Captain James Walker of the United Earth Space Force. We received your distress call and came to help." The alien's skin flashed with colors that the translator couldn't process. Then it spoke again. "I am Fleet Commander Trell. My people are called the Vardi. We have been stranded here for what you would call 3 of your Earth months." The human crew exchanged excited glances. First contact was actually happening. "We'd like to send a team to assess how we can help," Walker said. Trell agreed, and soon a shuttle carrying Walker, Chief Engineer Mike Green, Dr. Bell, and 3 security officers was approaching the largest alien vessel. The docking was tricky, as Vardi technology wasn't designed for human ships. Once they managed to create a sealed passageway, the humans stepped into the alien craft, their hearts pounding with excitement and fear. Inside, the ship was dimly lit with a blue glow. The corridors were wider than on human vessels, and curved in gentle arcs rather than straight lines. The air smelled faintly of salt water. 6 Vardi waited for them. Standing upright, they were about 5 feet tall, with slender bodies and 4 long, delicate arms. They wore no clothes, but some had metallic devices attached to their skin. "Welcome," said Trell, stepping forward. Up close, Walker could see that the alien skin constantly shifted with subtle patterns, like the surface of an ocean under moonlight. Through the translator, Walker explained Earth's response to their distress call. The Vardi seemed surprised. "You came to help without knowing us," Trell said. "This is unusual. Most species would not risk contact without treaties or agreements." "Where we come from," Walker replied. "When someone calls for help, you help them. It's that simple." Chief Engineer Green examined the data the Vardi shared about their ships. "Their technology is amazing," he told Walker privately. "In some ways, it's centuries ahead of ours, but it's also highly specialized." The Vardi, it turned out, evolved on an ocean world. Their technology was built around principles of fluid dynamics and bioengineering rather than the mechanical and electronic systems humans used. When their main propulsion system failed after an encounter with an unusual radiation field, they had no way to repair it. "We have replacement parts," Trell explained, "but not the means to install them. Our bodies are not made for such work." Walker smiled. "That's where we humans excel. We're very good at fixing things." As the human engineers began planning the repair work, Walker noticed the Vardi watching them with what seemed like curiosity. "Your species is strange to us," Trell said. "You are so adaptable. We did not expect this." "That's humanity's greatest strength," Walker replied. "We adapt, we solve problems, and we help our neighbors, even when they're from another star." As the first day of contact ended, both species knew that something extraordinary had begun. The rescue mission had turned into humanity's first step into a much larger universe. 5 days into the rescue mission, the human and Vardi crews had established a working routine. The large hangar bay of the main Vardi ship became the center of operations, with teams of human engineers working alongside Vardi technicians. Mike Green wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined a strange, pulsing component that seemed more alive than mechanical. "I still can't figure out how this connects to your propulsion system," he said to Kel, the Vardi engineer assigned to work with him. Kel's skin rippled with pale blue patterns that the translator interpreted as amusement. It does not connect. It communicates. This was the challenge the humans faced. Vardy technology wasn't built, it was grown. Their ships were partly organic, using principles that blended biology and physics in ways Earth science hadn't yet discovered. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Maria Reed, the mission's cultural officer, was tasked with learning about Vardy's society. She sat with Kel in what the aliens called a sharing pool, a shallow basin filled with warm, slightly salty water that helped the Vardy communicate more clearly. "Your species fascinates me," Kel said, trailing one of his forearms through the water. "You create so many different solutions to the same problem." "What do you mean?" Maria asked. "Look at your fleet. 5 ships, each built differently. Among the Vardy, we would find the perfect design, and all ships would follow it. But humans." Kel's skin flashed with colors of wonder. "You embrace variety. It seems inefficient, yet somehow makes you stronger." Maria smiled. "We call it diversity. Different approaches mean more chances to find what works." On the 3rd day, Dr. Bell had discovered something remarkable about Vardy medicine. Their bodies could produce specialized cells that targeted diseases and injuries. When Bell showed interest, the Vardy freely shared information about their biological sciences. "This could revolutionize medicine on Earth," Bell told Captain Walker excitedly. "Their understanding of cellular repair could help us cure dozens of diseases." Walker was in the middle of his own cultural exchange with Fleet Commander Trell. They walked through the curved corridors of the Vardy ship, discussing their respective worlds. "Our people rarely leave our home system," Trell explained. "We are explorers of knowledge, not space. This expedition was rare for us." "Then why travel so far?" Walker asked. Trell's skin darkened. "We detected unusual energy patterns from your outer system. We came to study them. We did not expect the radiation field that damaged our ships." "Yet you don't seem afraid to meet new species," Walker observed. "The universe is vast, but ultimately connected," Trell replied. "All life shares common patterns. Finding those patterns is our purpose." In the ship's mess hall, other crew members were making their own connections. Jack Taylor, a young engineer, was showing a group of fascinated Vardy how to play cards. The aliens were terrible at hiding their reactions. Their skin literally gave away their emotions, but they found the game delightful. Nearby, Vardy nutritionists helped the human medical team analyze alien food sources. The Vardy diet consisted mainly of nutrient-rich gels that tasted like salty pudding to the humans who dared try it. "Not bad," said Dr. Patel, the human nutritionist. "But I still prefer a good burger." The Vardy couldn't understand the human desire for solid food, which seemed unnecessarily complicated to them. By the end of the week, the repair efforts were showing progress. Human tools and Vardy biotechnology were being combined in new ways. The humans' ability to improvise perfectly complemented the Vardy's specialized knowledge. At night, when most of the crew was resting, Maria often found Kel in the observation dome, staring at distant stars. "Do you miss your home?" she asked him once. "Yes," Kel admitted, skin pulsing with soft greens of longing. "But meeting your kind has been worth the journey, even though you got stranded." Kel's skin shifted to a pattern Maria hadn't seen before. Perhaps getting stranded was necessary. Without it, our peoples might never have met. Maria looked out at the stars with him, thinking about how a random distress call had opened up a whole new universe of possibilities for humanity. Sometimes, she realized, the greatest discoveries came from the most unexpected situations. 2 weeks into the mission, progress on repairing the Vardy ships was moving faster than expected. Human ingenuity combined with Vardy biological technology created solutions neither species could have developed alone. But beneath the surface of cooperation, trouble was brewing. Security Officer Thomas Grant stood in the shadows of the cargo bay, watching the aliens with narrowed eyes. A veteran of the Mars conflict, Grant had seen how quickly things could go wrong in space. He gathered a small group of like-minded crew members who shared his concerns. "They're too advanced," he told his followers during a private meeting. "Once their ships are fixed, what's to stop them from taking our technology and using it against us? Or worse, following us back to Earth?" Across the ship, a similar conversation was happening among the Vardi. Elder Drav, one of the oldest members of the fleet, gathered his supporters in a quiet section of their vessel. "Our ways have remained pure for generations." Drav's skin flashed with patterns of concern. "These humans are chaotic, unpredictable. They solve problems by breaking rules. Such thinking could corrupt our youth." Captain Walker and Commander Trell were unaware of these factions as they inspected the newly installed propulsion connectors in the engine room of the main Vardi ship. "The integration is working better than we hoped," Mike Green explained, pointing to where human mechanical components joined with the Vardi biotech systems. "We should be able to test the engines in 3 days." Walker nodded, pleased. "Good work, Mike. I'll inform." A loud alarm cut him off. Red lights pulsed through the ship. "What's happening?" Walker demanded. Trell's skin flashed with urgent patterns. "The life support system in Section 4 is failing." They rushed to the damaged section, where human and Vardi engineers were already working to identify the problem. "The biological regulator has been disconnected," Kell reported, his skin pale with shock. "But that's impossible. These systems don't simply disconnect." "Someone did this deliberately," Maria said, examining the damage. "Look at these tool marks." Walker and Trell exchanged troubled glances. Sabotage meant that not everyone welcomed this new alliance. Over the next few days, more problems appeared. A communication relay failed just as vital repair data was being transmitted. A shuttle's navigation system mysteriously reset during a transfer between ships. Each incident was small but perfectly timed to create maximum disruption. "We have a saboteur," Walker told his senior staff. "Maybe more than one. The question is whether it's one of ours or one of theirs," Dr. Bell said. Walker shook his head. "Either way, it puts both fleets at risk." He arranged a private meeting with Trell to share his concerns. The Vardi commander's skin darkened with troubled patterns. "We have also noticed resistance among some of our people," Trell admitted. "Change is difficult for the Vardi. We evolve slowly, deliberately. This sudden contact with humans has disturbed many." Together, they developed a plan to identify the saboteurs. They announced a major test of the new propulsion system, but secretly set up surveillance throughout both fleets. The trap worked. That night, sensors caught 2 human crew members tampering with a fuel line. At the same time, a Vardi elder was detected interfering with a communication node. When confronted, both parties made a surprising confession. They were working together. "The humans fear our technology," Trell explained to Walker after the interrogations. "And our elders feared your adaptability. They found common ground in their fear." "Fear makes strange allies," Walker agreed. With the saboteurs identified and confined, repairs resumed more quickly. But the incident had revealed a truth both leaders recognized. Merging 2 such different species would never be simple. That evening, Walker found Maria and Kell reviewing security footage from the incidents. "What's troubling is how well they understood each other's fears," Maria said. Kell's skin rippled thoughtfully. "Perhaps understanding is the first step toward either friendship or conflict. The choice that follows is what matters." Walker nodded. The sabotage had been contained, but the greater challenge remained, proving to both humans and Vardi that their differences could be a source of strength rather than fear. As repairs neared completion, this lesson would be tested in ways none of them could yet imagine. Captain Walker was studying repair reports in his quarters when the emergency alert sounded. He rushed to the bridge where Lisa Chen was monitoring a stream of data from the long-range sensors. "Captain, we've got a problem," she said, her face tight with concern. "A massive solar flare just erupted from the star. The radiation wave will hit our position in approximately 10 hours. Walker studied the readings and felt his stomach sink. "How bad?" "Bad enough to kill everyone if we don't move," she replied. The radiation levels are beyond what our shields can handle. Walker immediately called an emergency meeting with Commander Trell. The Vardy leader's skin pulsed with dark colors of alarm when shown the data. "Our ships cannot move quickly enough," Trell said. "Even with the repairs we've completed, our main engines need another 3 days." The situation was grim. The human ships could escape the radiation wave, but their shields weren't strong enough to protect them if they stayed. The Vardy vessels had excellent radiation shielding but couldn't move in time. "What if we combine our technologies?" suggested Mike Green, who had been quietly thinking during the meeting. "The Vardy bioshields are amazing at radiation protection, and our power distribution systems are more flexible than theirs." "You mean create some kind of hybrid shield around all our ships?" Walker asked. Mike nodded. "Exactly. We take our power generators and connect them to their shield emitters. We might be able to create a bubble large enough to protect the entire fleet." The idea was radical and risky. It would require completely trusting each other's technology and exposing vital systems to the other species. It would mean fully integrating our core systems. Trell noted, skin rippling with colors of concern. "No spacefaring species has ever attempted such a merger with us." "Do we have a choice?" Walker asked simply. They didn't. Within an hour, teams of humans and Vardy were working frantically on the hybrid shield system. The plan required positioning all 12 ships, 7 Vardy and 5 human vessels, in a tight formation. At the center would be a specially modified shuttle containing the control systems. Security Officer Grant, who was still under supervision after the sabotage incident, approached Walker as preparations continued. "Captain, I was wrong about the Vardy," he admitted. "I'd like to help with the shield project." Walker studied the man's face. "Why the change of heart?" "I've been watching them work with our people," Grant replied. "They're different, yes, but they're not a threat. They're just trying to survive, like us." Walker nodded. "Report to Mike Green. He needs all the help he can get." Meanwhile, Elder Drav and his former conspirators were also assisting, their skin glowing with patterns of determination as they worked alongside human engineers. The modified shuttle was placed at the exact center of the ship formation. Inside, Alex Powell, the best electronics specialist in the fleet, worked with Mira, a Vardy technician. Their task was to create an interface that could control both species' technologies simultaneously. "If we reroute the power through this circuit," Alex suggested, connecting wires to the pulsing Vardy biotech, "we might get a 20% boost to the field strength." Mira's skin flashed with colors of agreement. "Yes, and if we synchronize the emission frequency to match our biological shields, the efficiency will improve further." With just 2 hours remaining before the radiation wave hit, the hybrid shield was ready for testing. Walker and Trell watched from the Horizon's bridge as the system powered up. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then a faint blue glow appeared around the shuttle, spreading outward like ripples in water until it encompassed all 12 ships. "Shield integrity at 67%, reported Lisa. "That's not enough to withstand the full radiation wave." "Why isn't it stronger?" Walker demanded. Mike Green's voice came over the comm. "The power distribution is uneven. Someone needs to be in the shuttle to manually adjust the settings as the wave hits." Walker and Trell exchanged glances. The radiation inside the shuttle would be intense, possibly lethal, even with partial shielding. "I'll go," they both said simultaneously. As the radiation storm approached, time was running out. The fate of both fleets would depend on whether two different species could truly trust each other with their lives. The shuttle hung in space at the center of the 12-ship formation. Inside, Captain Walker and Commander Trell worked frantically at the control panels as the radiation wave drew closer. Shield harmonics stabilized at 82%, Walker reported, adjusting a series of dials. Sweat beaded on his forehead, despite the shuttle's cooling systems working at maximum capacity. Beside him, Trell's skin pulsed with patterns of concentration. The Vardy commander's 4 arms moved with incredible precision, across the bio-interface controls. "We need at least 90% to survive the peak radiation," Trell said, his translator giving his words an urgent tone. From the horizon, Lisa Chen monitored their progress. "Captain, the wave will hit in 7 minutes. You and Commander Trell need to return now if you're going to make it back safely." Walker glanced at the shuttle's small viewport. He could see both fleets arranged in a tight circle around them. Human and Vardy ships side by side, their futures now completely intertwined. "Not until we get these shields stable," he replied. The minutes ticked by as they worked. The shield strength rose slowly, 83%, 85%, 87%. 5 minutes to impact. Lisa's voice came through again. "Captain, the automatic system should hold. Please return now." Walker looked at Trell, who was still working, his skin now glowing with an intense blue light that seemed to reflect his determination. "She's right," Walker said. "The auto-calibration might be enough." Trell's skin flickered briefly. "No. My analysis shows the shield will collapse at peak radiation without manual adjustments. I will stay." "Then I'm staying too," Walker insisted. On the horizon's bridge, alarms sounded as radiation levels began to rise. The edge of the wave was already reaching them. 3 minutes to full impact, Lisa announced, her voice tight with worry. In the shuttle, warning lights flashed as the life support system registered the first radiation spikes. The temperature began to rise as the cooling system struggled against the increasing heat. "Shield at 89%, Walker reported. "Almost there." A sudden bang shook the shuttle. One of the power couplings had overloaded, sending sparks across the control panel. "Damage to primary cooling system," Trell reported, his skin now pulsing with rapid patterns of concern. "Life support failing." Walker tried to reroute power, but more systems were failing. "We're losing shield control." On the horizon, Security Officer Grant watched the disaster unfolding on the main screen. Without thinking, he ran to the shuttle bay where his security vessel was docked. "What are you doing?" Lisa demanded over the comm. "Something I should have done from the beginning," Grant replied. "Trusting my captain." Grant's small, nimble security ship detached from the horizon and moved rapidly toward the shuttle. The radiation was already causing his instruments to malfunction, but he pushed forward. "Officer Grant, return immediately," Lisa ordered. "No time," Grant replied. "Their shuttle is failing. I'm going to tow them back." Inside the control shuttle, Walker and Trell were losing consciousness as temperatures soared and radiation leaked through the failing shields. Through blurred vision, Walker saw Grant's ship approaching, a towing cable extending toward them. "Someone's coming for us," he managed to say before slumping forward. Trell's skin flashed weakly with colors of surprise and gratitude. Grant's ship locked onto the shuttle just as the main radiation wave hit. The combined shield flickered, then stabilized at 91%, just enough to survive. Grant engaged his engines at full power, pulling the shuttle back toward the horizon. But his own ship had minimal shielding. As he towed the shuttle to safety, radiation flooded his cabin. Grant knew what this meant but kept his hands steady on the controls. In the medical bay of the horizon, Walker regained consciousness to find Dr. Bell standing over him. "The shields?" he asked immediately. "Holding at 92%, Dr. Bell replied. "Everyone is safe." "And Trell?" "Recovering. The Vardy are more resistant to radiation than we are." Walker tried to sit up. "Grant? Where's Officer Grant?" Dr. Bell's expression grew solemn. "He saved you both, Captain. He pulled your shuttle to safety, but his ship had minimal protection." Walker understood the unspoken truth. Grant, who had once feared and distrusted the aliens, had given his life to save not only his captain, but also the Vardy commander. As the radiation storm raged outside, humans and Vardy gathered together in the safety of their shared shield. They had survived not through strength alone, but through sacrifice, proving that the greatest power in the universe might not be technology, but compassion. 1 month after the radiation storm, the combined fleet floated in the calm darkness of space, The Vardy ships, now fully repaired, glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Beside them, the human vessels looked rugged and practical by comparison, their metal hulls bearing scars from the recent ordeal. On the main deck of the UES Horizon, humans and Vardy gathered for a farewell ceremony. Captain Walker stood at the center, still showing signs of his radiation exposure. His hair had thinned, and new lines marked his face, but his eyes remained bright and determined. "Today we part ways," Walker began, addressing the mixed crowd. "What began as a rescue mission has become something much more important." Commander Trell moved forward, his skin rippling with formal patterns of blue and gold. "The Vardy will never forget what humanity has done for us. You answered our call when you had no reason to help. You risked your lives for strangers." The ceremony continued with an exchange of gifts. The Vardy presented the humans with a small, glowing orb that contained medical information about cellular regeneration techniques. In return, Walker gave Trell a simple metal box containing seeds from 1,000 earth plants. "So your scientists can study the diversity of our world," Walker explained. As the official ceremony ended, crew members from both species said their personal goodbyes. Maria and Kel stood near a viewport, watching the stars together one last time. "I will miss our talks," Maria said quietly. Kel's skin flickered with soft patterns of friendship. Distance does not end connections once made. Mike Green was showing a group of Vardy engineers some last-minute modifications he had made to their propulsion system. "This should give you a 10% efficiency boost," he explained. "Just a little farewell gift." The Vardy engineer's skin glowed with gratitude and excitement. In a quiet corner, a small memorial service was being held for Officer Grant and the 2 other humans who had died during the mission. A Vardy elder joined the human chaplain in the ceremony, their different forms of remembrance blending into something new and meaningful. As the time for departure drew near, Commander Trull requested a private meeting with Captain Walker in the Horizon's conference room. Several Vardy elders accompanied him, their skin patterned with formal, serious colors. "Captain Walker," Trull began, "I am authorized to share something with you that we have not yet revealed." Walker looked curious. "Go on." "The Vardy are not alone in space," Trull explained. "We are part of what you might call a galactic coalition, an alliance of 7 spacefaring species who share knowledge and resources." Walker's eyes widened. 7 other intelligent species? Yes. Until now, we had not detected signs that humanity was ready to join this community. Your technology suggested you were close, but we needed more evidence of your species' character. And our rescue mission provided that evidence, Walker said, understanding dawning on his face. Trull's skin flashed with confirmation. Precisely. The coalition values cooperation and peaceful exchange above all. Your willingness to help strangers at risk to yourselves demonstrates qualities the coalition needs. One of the Vardy elders moved forward, presenting Walker with a small crystal device. This contains coordinates and communication protocols. The coalition would like to formally invite Earth to send representatives. Walker accepted the device carefully. "This is overwhelming. The Vardy will sponsor humanity's entry," Trull continued. "We believe your resourcefulness, adaptability, and compassion would strengthen the coalition. Different perspectives solve different problems." Later, as Walker watched the Vardy fleet prepare for departure, he felt a profound sense of change. Humanity had always looked to the stars and wondered if they were alone. Now they knew they weren't just not alone. They were being welcomed as equals into a community of intelligent beings. The Vardy ships moved away slowly, their blue glow fading into the distance. As they reached the edge of the solar system, they sent one final message. "Until we meet again at the Council of Worlds, the stars connect us all." Walker stood at the viewport long after the ships had disappeared from view. Earth would never be the same. Their first step into the wider galactic community hadn't come through war or conquest as so many had feared. It had come through an act of kindness to strangers in need. As the Horizon set course for Earth, carrying news that would forever change human history, Walker thought about how the greatest journeys often begin with the simplest of human impulses, the decision to help someone who is lost.